me personally, I put in a lot of time and effort, and I've sat on a buck tag for 5 years now, I think. Well,
Yeah.
let's do some math. 2019 was the last time I harvested a buck. And that year was tough, man. Holy crap, that year was tough. Welcome back to another BackWoods mix-up video. Got Brian here, core member of the Midwest Mix team. Today is Friday, September 19th. So it's been almost a week since opening day of archery season here in Wisconsin. And not too much has happened, I don't think.
No.
You sat, what, one time? You got out one time and
Pretty much, yeah.
moved some stands, kind of final prep some stands, and I mean, it was hot opening weekend. It was really hot.
Yeah, it was. Weather was not ideal for an opener, but yeah, I only really sat on the ground once in my food plot, and honestly, it was just gaining knowledge to see if they were in there because I don't have a camera in there. But not much for me. I don't know about you guys. I've been moving a lot of stands around because I just haven't been able to because of bear season. So I'm actually doing a lot of catch up. I did all my plots in time, but as far as like stand improvement and movement, I've been doing that a lot this week, trying to get ready for bow hunting.
You've been having any nice deer on camera?
We do on the public land. We have two really nice bucks. I don't really know. One's probably a 4-year-old. Not around here though. I mean, when you got 4 bear back there from April through first week of September, you know, it's gonna deter the deer a little bit. I think they're still here. I just think that they've moved from their traditional spots. So we're gonna chop corn here in a week, and when all this corn gets chopped around here, things will really change. So we'll see.
Obviously, baiting bears, like your dad said, it for whatever reason, if it's the bear numbers in here or, you know, just the amount of intrusion you got to do to bait, because how often did you bait?
Every day.
Every day. So
since April 16th through, when did we kill the bear? We killed it on September 3rd.
Yep, first day of the season.
Yep.
Yeah. No, and then last year, obviously, you were baiting too for your dad, and you guys made it happen. And after, you know, that all went down, and a couple months later, and you had some real nice bucks kind of work their way back in. So
it took a little bit for them to come back, though, for sure.
Because I know the spot you got at isn't real intrusive, like, you know, it's not deep in the middle of the woods or anything, but maybe it's just something about making a bunch of racket every day, going back there baiting, or, you know, maybe it is bear numbers in there, and the deer kind of were confused by a concentrated number of bears versus here and there or something. But
well, we definitely there's a lot of things different about this year as far as, you know, the bear season. We had more bear, you know, we had 4 bear all season pretty much. And then Sam's grandpa's bear, the big boar, he was an aggressive bear. So I don't know. I mean, I'm learning as I go. This is only my 2nd year doing it, but I've had tags in the past and failed, but this is my second full time, really putting everything I have into it. But I think Sam's grandpa's bear didn't let anything into that back 40 that my parents own. Like, I think he kind of ran the roost back there because we have videos of him chasing all the bears off. So I'm wondering if that, you know, had anything to do with the deer, but I'm not sure.
Kind of his territory back there, and maybe, I don't know. I don't know all that much about bear hunting
than my dad's sow. You know, they're both big 400-pound bear, but they're just different, you know.
Yeah. Which since then, I've been seeing on Facebook a lot of really nice bear being taken, like Boone and Crockett sized bears being taken in Wisconsin. I think the biggest one I saw was an estimated 725
that one
pounds.
Got shot last year, but it got in the books this year because she got it back.
Yep.
That girl from Barron.
Yep. And then there's
That was a
Another
white
one.
chested bear too.
Yeah, there's another one this year. I think that dressed was close to 650 or just over 650. I can't remember the exact number, but I mean that's a big bear. I mean, you just look at the ones we've been around
Yeah.
and fortunate enough to harvest, and I mean those are really nice bear anywhere.
I
And
mean, a
then
250-pound bear is an incredible
right,
bear, you
and
know?
then you add another 200, 250 pounds to that. I can't fathom that.
Yeah. Yeah, adding 200 pounds to Sam's grandpa's 420. Yeah, that's. Well, the thing about it too is, I think the state of Wisconsin has two different records as far as in the books. So, like,
Okay.
the official book is skull size. So you
Yep.
could shoot a 1,000-pound bear, and if it has an 18-inch skull, you're not getting in the book. I mean, you still get in the book. I think it's like that's a Pope and Young bear, but that's not going to be like a 23-inch, record book bear. So it's really about the skull size. But I mean, some of these bear, I think we're getting to that size now because there's so much agriculture that they're just living in these cornfields, and people are also baiting them too. So
Yeah. You think it's grown more in popularity to bait versus run dogs?
yep.
Would you say?
Well,
Just because dogs are so much more
yep.
work?
Well, I think baiting's become in the last, like, around where me and Matsu live in the last like 3 years. It's really like this year and the last year it really popped off in Wisconsin because I think people realize that transition where, hey, either I wait 8 years to get a tag up north, or I can get a tag every other year in our county, and I can still shoot a really good bear.
Right.
It's tough because of the egg, but people are realizing that it is possible. So because
Well,
the thing about, like, we have two buddies right now that have tags, Cole and Mitch, and they have
yep.
tags up north, and they spent a lot of years trying to get that tag, but they're having, not so much Mitch, but Cole's having guys run dogs to the bait, which is public land, so that's perfectly fine. But I can't imagine spending 4 months and a lot of money on bait and having dogs dumped on an opening
Yeah.
day. That would suck.
Do dogs run first?
So yep. So every other year in the state of Wisconsin, either sitters or dogs go first in those zones. So where we are in this zone in the state of Wisconsin, we can go when dogs can go. So opening day, because dogs can't run in this zone where we are. So every other year. So this year is dogs. Next year it'll be sitters. So if you're one of those guys, I would, if you're gonna go up north and you're gonna sit, don't try and time it so that you go for a kill tag when you're gonna go first, because you got about a week before dogs will go, or vice versa.
And a lot of people are successful with dogs, right?
Oh yeah, like if you just want to kill a bear, you know, um, like my buddy Travis, he's amazing. He's got great dogs. Like the success rate going with dogs is a lot higher than sitting over a bait, I think. Anyways,
But like you said, it's a lot more work. You got to train the
you
dogs,
got
and
2 months of training season.
you got to follow them around, and it's very successful. But at the same time, it is a lot of work to get into that style of hunting if you're doing
Oh
it
yeah.
yourself.
I mean, I know
Versus-
guys. Yeah, I know guys that spend $1,200 a month on dog food because they got 15 dogs. So
But when you're into it, and you make it happen. So
we need those guys though too. They're important. The
yeah,
houndsmen.
I mean, everyone loves the great outdoors. We'll welcome anybody as long as you're respectful and you're playing by the rules. So
yeah, we have that threshold number that we're trying to hit, and we need those guys to hit those numbers. So
well, are you deer hunting this weekend? I know the weather's kind of cooling back down this week. Opening weekend, like I said, was really hot. What was it, mid 80s probably, and humid, and a little bit of sun, and it's windy, so the bugs weren't super bad. But I mean, deer, I wouldn't say they don't move when it's hot out, but obviously the more mature ones are not up on their feet and traveling as far.
yeah,
But I mean, like, I saw opening morning, I think I saw 5 deer, doe, 2 fawns, and a group of 5 came in. It was 2 adult doe, one had twins, one had one that literally, I don't know, looked like it dropped a month ago. It was tiny.
So the spots on them.
I didn't see spots. I mean, it's in the video, but I don't know. It did not look good, and I mean, I'm guessing it was last year's fawn because the doe wasn't huge either. So I'm guessing she got bred late and then she dropped a little late, and
First year fawn.
yeah, so she's a year and a half old and she had a fawn, and you know, just a young doe. So I think that's part of it for sure. But no, they kind of came in the water. You know, I spent a lot of time hunting water last weekend just because it was so hot. So I figured, you know, if something were to get up and move between feed and bedding, they were gonna stop and take a drink. Because I mean, it hadn't. Besides this week, it hasn't rained in, would you say, 2 or 3 weeks probably, like a good rain.
Well, it rained the week of bear season that week.
Yeah.
So that's probably 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
And
But
then this week it's been raining a lot. But yeah, we had that. It really depends if you have water on your property. If you have, like, we are fortunate enough on my parents' property where we have 2 different creeks that go through it. So it doesn't really affect us. And then we got drain tile coming down out of that back field and it comes out into my kill plots down there. So I'm not really affected by that. But I've heard guys swear by watering holes, putting buckets out there where there isn't water and killing really nice deer that way.
you know, this is kind of my first year doing plastic tubs or digging in tubs or whatever for water. But
Yeah.
Years ago, we rented out for some ginseng farmers, and they had contracted someone to come dig them water so that you know, they could kind of irrigate.
Yeah.
And just, you know, I put a stand over that because the trees finally got big enough. And I mean, for the first time ever, I threw a camera up over that, you know, just because I would see tracks all the time and I knew deer were probably using it. But you know, you hear like, oh, water holes are a must and this and that, and right, it's like, well, is it just hype or what? So I threw a camera on the natural pond or water hole per se, and I mean, that's where I got my biggest buck photo last year, was right over that. So I think for sure it's something to consider if you're considering it, and if you already have it, I'm sure you've seen the success and, you know, just the deer numbers that use it. But you know, it's not a 100% guaranteed deal. It's just another option. And I mean, here where we're fortunate enough to have private land, but you know, you don't see massive farms here where people are strictly hunting whitetails here as maybe you would in southern Iowa and other parts of the Midwest, and even all over. You know, there's giant 300, 600, 400, 600 acre farms, you know, where they literally have almost free range to do whatever they want, right? Yeah. So, you know, you still got to compete with, in our area, you for sure still got to compete with all the ag fields. I mean, around here, you can't go a mile without seeing an ag field, I don't think. So, I mean, with just that much ag, and, you know, there's good hardwoods here, so a lot of acorn drops, a lot of oaks, and this year was a really good drop. I don't know if you've noticed that or not.
Oh, yeah.
But this year's was another ridiculous drop. So, you know, you nothing's ever guaranteed in the outdoors, but you try and skew your chances, your opportunities as much as you can. And, you know, that's what I did, putting in a water hole and putting up mock scrapes and stuff. And, you know, that's how I help turn the odds in my favor. But, you know, nothing's ever guaranteed. I truly do think shooting a very nice, you know, mature buck, I do think it's way heavier on luck than it is. You can prep, you can have him, you know, he's doing this every single day. Yeah, you know, you can scout, you can all this, and you could be set up in the perfect spot, and you know, it's the perfect weather. You've had him there 3 days in a row, and you know where he's bedding, you know where he's going to feed. And I mean, end of the day, if he doesn't step out and present a shot, like, you can do everything right, and sometimes you might never get that opportunity, and that's just the way it goes. But you can for sure help yourself be put in better situations where you have higher chances at that deer walking in front of you.
Yeah, I guess it really depends. Like, you get to that, they say if you have over 600 acres, then, I don't know. I listen to Lee and Tiffany, and, Lee is an absolute legend about it. And he kind of says the same thing that Matsu says, but he has a lot better chances because, you know, that's all he does.
Yeah.
Is he sits, they leave. I think if you have, 20 deer in a field every single night, I think that's probably the only exception to what you said, where you can maybe, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
all season long, if everything's harvested around you, but you left 35 acres of standing beans and you got 20 deer in that every night, that deer you went after, maybe you didn't get them during the rut, but maybe you can kill them, before the end of, that January date. But I think maybe that's the only exception that I can think of, just because it's, you're playing on it's really cold, and they're going to have to be on their feet earlier, and they're not going to be like, big bucks are nocturnal, right? Well, your chances during the rut, or I think a really cold front, late season, I think that's kind of maybe another exception to that.
I'd agree. Maybe if you have because most farmers, they start harvesting what? Well, it depends if they're chopping or combining, right?
Depends if we're your cash crop or if it's
Yeah,
a dairy
right.
setup. Yeah.
So, but most crops are gone before first week in November. If not, some farmers leave it stand, insurance crop and things like that. But for the most part, if you have standing corn, or you plant corn for deer and then you cut it late, or whatever, and or maybe you leave beans all year, and
Mm-hmm.
for sure your chances, like I said, that's just like another thing you can do to up your chances, right?
Yeah.
So if you have that and all the other ag around you is gone, the deer are going to come to your field because you have beans there, standing beans. And I'm sure you see it all over with the hunting personalities, and they do it. And what I said, I'm not trying to discredit any of the work. I'm just saying, you still need that
A chance,
target
yeah.
deer, whatever, to walk in front of you. And I think deep down everyone kind of knows that, but like I said, you just skew the chances in your favor, and a lot of people are successful. But it does take a lot of work. I mean, a lot of work. No, I think you know, for sure you can up your chances. And I've sat on
Is your mic going?
I think so. It's just
Why doesn't it light up when you
it's just sleeping.
Okay.
Save some battery, but no, you can skew the chances in your favor for sure, and it is a lot of work. And like me personally, I put in a lot of time and effort, and I've sat on a buck tag for 5 years now, I think. Well,
Yeah.
let's do some math. 2019 was the last time I harvested a buck, and that year was tough, man. Holy crap, that year was tough. So yeah, this will be season 6. No, season 5. I don't know. I can't do math right now. I'm fried from work, but 5 or 6 years since I've, had a buck that I wanted to shoot, and I've had very close encounters. And I think it was season of 20, right after I harvested that buck in 19, like November 15th or something. He was cruising by himself, but that can be a story for another time. Season of 20, I think, I had this really nice. Is it either 20 or 21? I had a really nice, big, mature, just wide, and he had some crazy brows, but he was a 7 point. Okay. So a 4x3.
You talking about the deer your neighbor shot?
No,
No.
that was 2 years ago.
Okay.
No, so it was either 20 or 21, and I kind of seen him, and I just fell in love with him. Something about not being perfectly symmetrical, and I mean his frame was. He had a really nice frame. I could probably find a picture and throw him up here so you guys can see him. But I mean, so that year, I don't know if you remember, but I mean it thunderstormed like all day Friday. before opening day, and then it rained till like 3 o'clock Saturday opening day. I was texting everybody. I'm like,
Yeah,
dude,
I
are
wasn't.
you going hunting? Like, it was warm. It's early season, right? But I was like, dude, you better get out. Like, I think they've been bedded up,
Oh yeah.
for the last day, just because it's the rain so heavy, and deer get a little spooky in the rain because their senses, they can't hear as well, they can't see as well, they probably can't smell as well until the rain's done. And I just was telling everyone, all my buddies that deer hunted, I was like, are you guys going out tonight? Like, you should get out tonight. And I just had a feeling that they were bed and they were gonna, as soon as that rain stopped, I had a feeling they were gonna get up. And sure enough, got in. I don't remember what time I got in, but I got in pretty early, probably an hour or two right after the rain stopped. So 4:30 or 5, and it doesn't get dark till close to 8. Early season here, so I sat for a good chunk of time, and I mean, I had a couple little bucks, just kind of browsing on some honeysuckle and whatever in front of me, and lo and behold, like, prime time, I see movement. I kind of, look over there, and I see the rack, and I just instantly knew it was him. And he kind of came in, and those two were making racket, the two younger bucks, and he kind of, as big, smart, mature deer do, he kind of came into this trail we had brush cut, and then he immediately 45s into just some pretty thick honeysuckle, and he just sat there for, he's 27, 30 yards, and he sat there for 20 minutes just looking, listening, like making sure it's safe for him to come out and kind of browse on that trail. And
Think he was trying to get your wind?
I just think with the rain, like, the rain had just stopped, so the water's still dripping, there's a bunch of noise in the woods because there's their senses are a little bit dulled. I'm not, that's just from my experience, I'm not an expert or anything, but I'm sure there's some studies on that. But he just sat within bow range, but it was so thick I couldn't shoot for 20 minutes, and then a learning experience on my end is he finally kind of stepped out, and he browsed for a little bit facing me, and then he turned and was leaving back on that trail that he came in on. And I drew back as he turned, and I tried to stop him, as all deer hunters do, give him a little whatever, tried to stop him, and that actually ended up making him jump. So he kind of just jumped back into the honeysuckle. He's still within bow range, but it's too thick to shoot. And he kind of just jumped back, and he just kind of sat there and listened again and watched. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what the heck? And hindsight, they were a little jumpy to begin with coming in. Their senses are dulled. There's way too much noise in the woods from all the rain, and like the water's still dripping, and it's early season, so you got leaves blowing in the wind and all sorts of stuff going on. And like, looking back, I probably should have just shot him while he was walking, which I don't take shots like that. I want them to stop moving, right? Because there's too many variables. But
Depending on the yardage, yeah.
yeah, but he was close enough to where I probably could have got away with it.
Yeah.
But I just don't practice those shots, and that's just one of those learning moments where you just gotta build it from experience. Like, I didn't know he was gonna jump. I thought he was gonna stop and pick his head up and look around, and game over. But so that was kind of an opportunity where my target buck came in, and then I didn't shoot because it wasn't right. And some people just, adrenaline's crazy. Some people just don't have that same mentality or the same ability to withhold themselves from taking that shot.
Yeah, a lot of people, especially novice hunters or first
And
or second
I'm not
years.
saying they're bad deer hunters, where, but I'm sure we've all been super excited, right, when you're getting ready to make it happen, and you just can't control yourself. I've definitely done it before. I made some piss poor shots. I'm not gonna
I
lie.
did it last year.
And it's just part of the learning experience, part of the game, right? And you just learn from those. But that's one example of, I had an opportunity, all the work I put in it just didn't work out. So
Yeah.
like I said again, you can for sure up your chances, but it's never guaranteed. And I mean, I got stories on stories of that. I mean, it happened again in 23 to a different buck, and he stood at 35 yards for probably 25, 30 minutes, and I never got a shot because one low branch is over his vital. But that can all be a story for another time. Back to this weekend though, you're gonna do any deer hunting?
Yeah, I gotta go down to the public land. I gotta drop my camper and stuff like that off for the next 3 months.
That's what we're calling deer camp, right?
That'll be deer camp for me, yeah, for sure. I'll have a bunch of buddies down this year.
I think
We have
Joe's coming to join you for sure.
Yep, Joe will be there.
I think Joe's one of our good buddies. I'm sure he'll be on the pod at some time.
This is his first year with a bow too.
Oh yeah, that's right. He switched to vertical this year.
Yep, he's got a compound.
So, we bought him that bow 2 years ago now.
Something like that. I don't.
As a birthday gift. I can't remember if it's
Christmas, yeah,
or Christmas. Yeah, that's right.
Wanted to get him into bow hunting, so
no. So we should touch on that a little bit. Our buddy Joe, he was almost strictly a gun hunter, right? Shotgun, rifle, whatever zone he hunted.
That's what he grew up doing, yeah.
Yeah, and his dad did that, and his dad only gun hunts, correct?
His dad was a big gun hunter, and his dad really loved duck hunting.
Yeah, so he kind of grew up around gun hunting, and then all of us were really into archery hunting, and he's like, well, I kind of want to get into it, and then it was he got into it freshman year of college probably. So
well, no, because what was it, our junior year he shot that deer with the crossbow, remember?
Trying to think.
Out on
Dave's? No, that was your senior year, because that's my freshman year of college, but yeah. That's kind of when he got into it, was pretty late, right? Like for learning vertical bow, that's pretty late in relative terms, because I started shooting vertical bows when I was, I don't know, 8-10 years old.
I think you're definitely right. Like in the traditional sense, if you're going to shoot, like maybe even you take it to a more extreme, shoot trad, like you need hand-eye coordination and you have to develop that skill set. And I think you still have to do it today, but these bows that they're building nowadays are so good where it kind of takes away from a little bit of that, that traditional, hey, I got to shoot a month before season, to be dialed.
Right. I mean, that's the pros and cons of technology. It kind of removes what we kind of went through growing up versus, kids growing up now.
I think it's great though. I think it makes people better. So
I do. I think it makes them more ethical too. They trust in their equipment more. And, the guys who are into it, they do practice a lot more, and the bows can just hold up to it more too. But
we're seeing guys out west take, I don't know if this happened in the early 2000s, I don't know, but we're seeing guys take 80, 90, 100-yard shots of compounds out west right now, and they're making those shots work. Right. So I think that's a testament to how far we've come too.
I mean, quick side tangent, but Jerry, my bow guy, you've met him. Yep. Jerry Rose is, if you guys don't know, the Rose buck. He's Barry Rose's brother, and who had Wisconsin State Archery typical buck for quite a while. It just, within the last 5 or 10 years, it just got broken. But he had it for a while. But no, he works on my bows, and I mean, I wasn't there, but supposedly, one of the guys he does it for shot an antelope with the vertical bow at 114 yards. So you just imagine that. That's crazy, because antelope are
super skittish.
They're jumpy, they're fast, they're way smaller target than a whitetail. Here in the Midwest, they're a way smaller target than a whitetail in the Midwest. And I mean, if that really happened, that's just crazy to me, to be one, not only have the confidence to do that, 2, to trust your gear to make that shot and trust in all the variables, and 3, to obviously I would never take that shot, but he felt very comfortable. So, and he made it happen. So he must have practiced at that range till he was, sufficient and felt comfortable enough to, take a shot like that on an animal. And, I don't want to discredit him at all, but he could have also got lucky. I mean, even 40, 50, 60-yard shots. I mean, a lot of things can go wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I've taken a couple shots at 50, and I mean, me personally, I try not to shoot past 40, 45 anymore in mature bucks. And, you know, if I don't think it's right, I won't shoot them past 40. That's just me personally. And I've just had too many experiences, you know, with things going wrong. But no, technology has definitely come a long way.
They're putting wind gauges on sights now too. So
Yeah, and I mean, when Garmin's whole auto ranging thing came out, that was like top of the top. And now I really don't even pay attention to what new stuff they're making now, because you know, I like my bow set up, and I don't really need anything for it, right? So I tend not to pay attention to that stuff too much. Is probably not as much as I should be. But anyways, back to Joe. He was traditionally a gun hunter, right?
Yeah.
And he got into archery hunting very late, and you know, he just didn't feel confident practicing with the vertical bow. And you know, crossbows were a little bit cheaper, so he went and bought a crossbow, which I'm completely fine with.
Depends on what crossbow you buy, though.
Right. But you know, there's this whole huge debate like, people shouldn't be able to crossbow hunt, blah blah blah. You should have to be disabled, blah blah. Bring back the disabled law here in Wisconsin. I mean, it's this whole tangent, right? And my thing is, if it's legal and you're practicing and you're being ethical with it, and you know, it gets people in deer hunting and enjoying the outdoors, like, all for it, man. I'm all for it. I do not give two craps if you think it's cheating, or you know, it's too easy, too many deer. Like, who cares? They bought a license, they practice, they bought their weapon of choice.
Sure their license is more expensive than ours too.
I think they have to buy the archery, and then so for a resident here in Wisconsin, I believe it's just for archery. And depending which area you're in, but in our area, since we're central farmland, we get one buck tag that's statewide. Then you have to pick your county and private or public land tags for does. But it's the central farmland in our area.
We're all over the place today, boys.
But we're just BSing. In our area, you get a buck tag that's statewide. And then you have county specific doe tags. And you get two of them, I believe. And you can choose either private or public and the county. And now I don't remember where I was going with this.
We're talking about
whatever. Crossbow hunters and whatever. I'm cool with it, and
we're just talking about
whatever. But back to the main topic here. We're getting sidetracked. God darn it, Brian. No, back to the main topic. Our buddy Joe and his vertical bow. So he started very late in a traditional, whatever. Like, you can start archery anytime. I don't care, as long as you're practicing, whatever. And you want to shoot a crossbow, go ahead. I don't care, as long as you're doing it, you know, by the book and being ethical and practicing and all that good stuff like I was talking about. But anyways, Joe was hunting with a crossbow till last year, but we had bought him the vertical bow for Christmas 2 years ago. But since he lives where he does, he just, you know, he didn't have time. Like, a crossbow, you do what? You throw a scope on, you learn how to pull a string, you get your bolts, and you shoot. It is kind of like a rifle.
Just get it sighted in, yeah.
Sighting it in is kind of like a rifle, right? And then we bought him that vertical bow. We're like, you know, you need help setting it up, because we just bought him the bare bow, because then he could pick his accessories, whatever he wanted, single pin, you know, triple pin, 8 pins, whatever he wanted, right? So he just, you know, he kind of sat on it for a little longer than we had hoped. But this year, you finally help him set up his vertical bow, and he's had the chance to practice and you know, learn the ways of the vertical bow, which I think is freaking awesome, because he was always willing to. He just never had the time or the chances to, or the opportunities with college and where he, you know, moved to for work. Like, he just couldn't shoot.
Yeah.
Unless he joined a range, and even then, some ranges are 30 yards max sometimes. And, you know, I think you do got to push yourself a little bit, challenge yourself a little bit with further shots, and, you know, kind of work on your form, because that's where your form and your, all these other things come into play. Even though you won't shoot 60, 70 yards, you might not shoot 60, 70 yards. I don't shoot 60, 70 yards at an
What makes
animal.
those 40, 30-yard shots pretty easy when you
Right.
can shoot.
But that's just overcoming some things like target panic, and really working on your form, and you'll know at those distances, if you got a little wrist twist, or you're punching the trigger, or whatever it is, right? You have little inconsistencies from where you're aiming and whatever. But no, I think it's super awesome that Joe finally switched to vertical, and he's one of the guys that'll be joining you in deer camp for the rut. And I think Sam, you guys all know Sam, I hope by now, another core member of the Midwest mixed team. He's kind of living in Minnesota right now, so he's got some hunts up there planned, and yeah, you've got some hunts with him. You guys are doing some urban stuff, and I don't know if he's got public up there, but and then he's hunting Wisconsin public as well, and so he'll be kind of bouncing back and forth. But I think he said he's coming down there to your campsite, deer camp, and your boy might make the trip, but gotta get the old man a buck and see what starts rolling through here once all the egg's gone and they start getting a little frisky. But
this is like your second year of like really giving her food plots, so
yeah. And I mean,
we'll see what comes in for you.
Like I talked about in the first episode, it's always constant work. There's always something, always some little habitat improvement. Down tree falls in the trail, you brush mowed, you gotta go cut it. Figuring out what can I plant here, what can I plant there, how do I mitigate this, mitigate that. Like, it's nonstop, and I just couldn't even imagine that on like you said, a Lee and Tiffany.
Well, it's different when you're doing it for yourself, or if you're
Right.
in a situation like that where you have, like, I've learned this now where, like, I've started guiding. This is my second year guiding. It's like we do it because we love it, but if you're doing it for somebody else, like, it's kind of it's like, as much as hunting is God's will, and it definitely is, like, if they don't go home with an animal, they're going to be looking at you like, well, what happened,
Yeah.
So there's that whole responsibility when it comes to like what you're talking about, management and stuff like that, because it's like,
Right.
I can't screw this up because I have paying clients coming.
Right. Or if you're trying to help introduce someone to hunting, like,
You want them to be successful so
right,
that they continue
like
on.
even if they don't harvest, it's good to see deer and kind of talk
Just
them
seeing
through
deer can
things,
be
just
tough.
seeing things, and that can be tough for sure. On smaller parcels and whatever, like if you don't own the acreage, right, where you don't have, let's say you own a old ag lot versus a heavily wooded lot, list goes on. But that's also important, is just when people want to get into it and you say, yeah, I'll get you into it, and then being able to show them deer, be able for them to have an opportunity to harvest deer, and I just think, like your cousin shot his first deer ever last year, right?
Yep.
So that was super cool. I mean, yeah, I'm sure he's hooked now, right? Is he talked to you about hunting this year yet?
He's gonna make an appearance for gun season. He'll be at gun camp this year. He's busy. He's a busy guy. He's getting married and stuff like that. His wife, his fiance, she hunts a lot up in Amory. So their parents, her folks own like.
Oh, don't give away all the secrets.
Well, it's not really. It's that area. But anyways, I'll say this about that. Like, hunting for myself was always fun and it was always amazing. But like being able to like put in all this time, work, and effort, and like getting to see like the look on someone else's face when they harvest something, it just, it 10x's it for me. So
Getting some deer pictures here, but
yeah,
no, I think that's just one thing we need to get better at as outdoorsmen. I mean, social media has not helped at all. I mean, there's so many.
Well, it depends on what platform you're on, but yeah.
Well, right, but if someone can hide behind a screen, they're gonna say much harsher stuff to you than if you were face to face, and
like
that
comments,
that unfortunately is kind of why I think people are scared to get into it. Because the hunting has gotten so big because of social media, and you know, everyone wants to kill a nice deer, but that's not reality. It's really not. I mean,
Well, like this whole thing, it's like Matsu wants to shoot a boone and crack a deer. That's why he holds out. But that's Matsu. You want to
oh,
shoot a
come on,
mature.
come on. I
Okay.
want to shoot a mature deer. They don't have to have the highest scoring rack, but
What I'm trying to get at is I
right,
just picked on you for
right.
a second, but with like Instagram being huge, hunting, YouTube, whatever you want to do, it's like we're like shaming, and Hunting Public does a great job about this. There is like if you shoot 125, 135-inch deer, that is an incredible
It
deer.
doesn't matter if you shoot a forkhorn. Like,
Well, yeah, exactly. Like you don't, but the thing is, people like novice hunters or people getting into it will shoot these deer and then they'll post these pictures, and then you'll have people just tear them apart in the comments. And like
yep.
that's not hunting.
Oh, you should have let him go. And oh my
No,
god,
like that's bad community.
he just came out of mom's stomach. Blah blah blah. All this stuff. And
if you want to sit on a bucket opening day of gun season with an orange hat and blow away a buck fawn, be my guest. If that's your cup
I mean,
of tea,
it's just
do it.
It just social media has removed some of the reality from hunting for sure.
It's ruined it a little bit.
It I wouldn't say it's ruined it because I think more people have gotten into it by seeing it through social media, but at the same time, it's removed the reality, right? Like of what hunting used to be. You used to get together with a bunch of friends, and you know you're shooting whatever, and
well, like that whole like deer camp is like for some of us, it's like the one time a year we get to see our friends. Like everybody's busy now and move on with their lives and stuff like that, which is everyone's got to go their own path, but like deer camp's like, all right, I finally get to see this sucker I haven't seen in 12 months,
Right.
So
but I mean, like back when I was a kid and before I could hunt, like we used to get together for shotgun season, and I mean, yeah, you got an opportunity, a nice buck, cool, but like the mature doe walks by, like bang bang bang, like we got some fresh meat, like it didn't matter as much what you shot, and it was always a, oh, you got one versus a, oh, what is that,
So I think what we're trying to say here is just don't, if you see a picture and you disagree with it, don't say anything. Like you're entitled to, like, I understand there's big deer management guys. There's two of them sitting right here. We try and do as much as we can to harvest big animals. We're not going to pretend like we're any different than that, but we're not going to, me and Matsu aren't going to be like, oh, like, why are you shooting that? Like, just be positive when it comes to hunting, like spread positivity. Doesn't matter if you disagree with what they did. We need hunters. We need, so that this doesn't ever go away. We need younger people getting into it. It's very important.
Back to the overall main topic. Opening weekend was slow. It was hot. Nobody harvested anything. I had opportunities, but like I say in my videos, I don't like shooting does with fawns early, just because if they're still with mom for a reason. But I mean, as you get on later in the season, the does usually leave their fawns, and by that time, if they're not, then I'll maybe let one fly at a old slickhead. But no, I had some opportunities, decided not to shoot just because fawns and whatever else, and seen some pretty nice buck that I've had on camera. But I don't know, did you see anything that night you sat?
I have not seen a deer in the stand this year. So,
but I mean, you sat for what, a couple hours that one night, and
I was sitting on the ground,
yeah, just a quick little whatever. And then Sam was also hunting opening weekend, and he's out on some public, and I think he sat once maybe one night.
Not sure, yeah.
Because I don't think you guys hunted mornings, because every time I texted the group chat, it was dead silent.
Well, somebody was on a 20-mile run, but
that's a story for another time. Mr. David Goggins, Cam Haynes, ultra runner over here. Yeah. No, it's great. What you've been doing is awesome. I hope it works out, and you've been putting a lot of work. So I hope
stay healthy.
Yeah, it's you versus you. So I hope you're happy with how you perform, and not keep a strong mental for sure. But
it helps me too in that sense. But yeah.
But anyways, so opening weekend was kind of a bust per se. I think we were all kind of on doe patrol, get some meat in the freezer, thin the herd a little bit,
get some videos done, hopefully.
Yeah, but this weekend, Sam's hunting tonight, right? Yeah, he's sending us videos in his ultra saddle setup, and I think he calls his spot the Den, which hopefully he makes it happen. I haven't checked my phone, so maybe he already got one. But I think he kind of went into some betting looking for a buck tonight with the storms rolling in this weekend. Like I was saying, the temps have dropped. You'd say 10, 15 degrees from the high of even just last weekend and even just earlier this week. I mean, the temps have dropped 10, 15 degrees. It's, we're getting more southeast-ish, and I think some days have been north and maybe even west winds, so some colder winds, and temps are dropping. We got thunderstorms rolling in pretty much for the foreseeable future as far as the weatherman wants to lie about.
Fall's coming in.
Yeah, it's definitely, I'm getting excited with the weather change, and I think this weekend, which unfortunately I'm busy tomorrow, which is Saturday, so I'm busy tomorrow. Might sneak out for an evening hunt tomorrow if it's not absolutely pissing rain. Maybe I'll hunt Sunday a little bit, but for me, I'm still on doe patrol, and I got a picture of one buck this week that looks pretty decent, but he's kind of quite a ways back from the camera, so I'm really not sure. But I mean, genetics are there. They're just a little young for me, but I got a cousin who wants, he's gotten his first deer, also a crossbow hunter. He's gotten his first buck, and he shot deer before, and he's a Minnesota resident, so he shot deer with the shotgun, and he shot deer with the crossbow. Not very many, but he's shot deer before, and he wants to get a nice buck. So I think, as much as it pains me to have one of my quote unquote up and comers, I'm not like a hardcore, you can't, blah, blah, right? like we just talked about for 15 minutes. Like, it's about getting people into it. So I mean, if I've been sending him pictures of those, and he's like, oh my god, because he just hasn't had the opportunities to see deer like that. And I think if he gets one of those, and maybe I'll sit with him and get a double stand set up, or maybe we'll sit from the ground and make it happen one of these times, and get him on a nice buck and kind of reel him in to the sport that we've enjoyed for so many years. And that's really what it is about for us, is just hanging out with friends and family and making those memories. And it's, to me, it's never about the harvest, it's the memories you create around a harvest, and just the times you spend together with friends and family, and the time you spend by yourself out in the woods. I mean, it kind of connects you back with, removes you from reality and connects you back to, the great creator. That's all it really is, But no, this weekend, maybe I'll get out. I think Sam's got some things going on this weekend too, and he might hunt a little bit more and whatever. But
I mean, I can go out and shoot one, not anytime I want, but
right. But I know,
busy. So
you said you're busy. You're running camper down to set up for deer camp.
I think I might kill him tomorrow night.
You gonna hunt down at deer camp, or you're gonna come back?
I got the cell cams down there that are dead. So I got to change batteries out, 3 cameras, and I got to sprint back here to make it into the stand. But
let me tell you what, Mr. Moneymaker, you got to start running some lithium cartridges hooked to solar panels.
I do have solar panels on there.
It cost me half my savings to do that, but for you, no, for sure. I started running solar panels and lithium cartridges on my cameras this year, and I've had to change batteries once because I didn't buy enough solar panels. So it's just part of how we hunt. Like, that just reduces my intrusion, reduces everything, whatever. But if we get it done this weekend, I think bear videos coming, or it might already be out
by the time this is
ready out, released. Yeah. And the first episode of the BackWoods mix-up should also be released by the time you guys see this. But if you haven't seen those videos, check them out down here in the description, or Sam will put a big pop-up right here or something, whatever he wants to do. But we're back, we're back. So a lot of exciting things ahead, a lot of times with friends and family, and hopefully a couple really nice deer down again this year. I know you got one last year. You're fortunate enough to get one last year. And did Sam get one last year?
Got a doe with his bow. I got a buck with his gun.
Yeah, that's right. And Sam was fortunate enough to harvest a beautiful, beautiful buck last year. And yeah, I'm stubborn, so I've been eating my tag. But we'll see what happens this year. And as always, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Follow our socials; they'll be down in the description below. I'm your host, Matsu, signing off. Brian, any final things to say?
Good luck to everybody out there. You know, this will probably be early October. This comes up before the youth hunt. So good luck to everybody out there in whatever state you might be hunting in.
Shoot straight, stay safe, and just enjoy the great outdoors. See you guys on the next one.